Hello folks, this is Valkoor Drakerider, and today I have my newest project finished and ready to show. This one took me many months, and I'm really happy it got done. It was delayed by a little over a month due to Test Realm bringing some new castle magic to the table, so I had to reconstruct a lot of it in order to get it up to par. That being said, here is my Wizard101 roller coaster house, dubbed the StormRider. And you'll see there's a couple reasons that it is the StormRider. And the first, of course, is that we are in a storm-themed area. Now, this entrance area would actually not exist if it wasn't for Test Realm and the new castle magic, because it gave me some extra time to go ahead and really get something cool going for the entrance, where I was just going to do something pretty simple before. So, this area is a nice, cool setup. We have a really cool stormy technological skybox and a pretty cool purple storm-themed flooring, both of which took a lot of time to make. This whole project took a lot of time to make. But the premise here is we have these 4 towers in each of the, not corners, but sides. And we have a lane running in from each of them, with water running towards the very center. And each lane runs towards the center in the same exact way, as you can see. So, if we go ahead and interact with this invisible button in the center of the room, we're going to go ahead and get this sequence, which is the entire purpose of this decorative setup. So let's give it a go. Awesome. So now we have summoned the portal and the ride sign. This will automatically go away after 30 seconds. And it will loop back again without the use of the magic button every 2 minutes thereafter, so that somebody else can enter the ride. This is partially to mitigate the number of players going through, because the coaster is designed for only one player to be involved. In fact, I would only like one player to be in the outside area for as long as possible at any given time. The more players are present, the more complications are apt to happen. And there are going to be complications with this ride. You may have to reload in a couple of times to get it right, because there are many things that can go wrong. And I'll list down in the description what some of those things are, because there are quite a few that can go wrong. But you know, if it doesn't work the first time, something goes wrong with you getting on the coaster, you can't start it correctly, just leave, come back, try it again. Teleport to start and go back through the entryway and back through here, and all be well. So we'll go ahead and we'll just reset this really quick so we can go back through to the coaster and see kind of the underbelly of all of this. And then we'll go through that nice animation one more time for you guys to see. I will say this animation, a lot of things are going to be a lot slower. For devices in particular that are slower. So this house is very reliant on you having a decent device to run properly. So if it doesn't go all too well, this video may be your best look into it beyond a tour. So let's go ahead and do this. Now let's head on into what it's actually all about. So when we get outside, we're going to have this teleporter sequence, and it's going to filter players to ensure that only one ends up in the correct spot in any given instance. This helps prevent some problems. So, once we go through that, we're going to have control of our own character. You have a random chance at receiving one of any 7 characters, and they're going to be who represent you for the ride. Originally, I wanted to do have players be the emphasis, wherein your actual wizard was the one riding the coaster throughout the duration of the ride. But unfortunately, there's a good reason I can't do that. The primary component of this entire project is its representation of speed. So in this house, we are using something I like to call rapid activation to teleport items at faster than 1 time per second. So a player can only teleport at a maximum, because of a buffer, of around 2 times per second, whereas an item, there's no good limit that I've actually found. So here we're going to be teleporting items at a rate of around 17 times a second across pretty vast distances to simulate some pretty fast movement. This house uses the full 700 item space. It's my first house to actually use a full 700 item space because it has the castle block bonus. And I'm really excited about it. I put in a ton of work. I'm going to go ahead and show you the control of your character now. You just use your W and S keys. W, of course, to progress forward, and S to move backwards. There's no real purpose in moving backwards, but it gives you a better feeling of control of your characters so that you can really relate to them, connect to them. So we're going to go ahead and use our W key, and we're going to go ahead and move forward. Sometimes the teleport, which is kind of part of it, will not function correctly, and you aren't going to be able to continue moving forward. In this case, just move back, and then you can progress forward again. Sometimes the controls can get a little bit wonked up with this. You know, different loadings are going to be a little bit better than other loadings, but that's just how it goes. So if you ever have any problems with this house, really do just leave and reset, and everything should work out just fine. So we're going to go ahead and get a move on, and I hope you guys enjoy the StormRider. And that was the ride. So it's a little bit over 2 minutes in duration, which is pretty good. That's pretty close to the average time for a roller coaster, actually. Originally, I wasn't sure I could get much past 1 minute, so having made it to 2 minutes is actually something I'm really happy about. So now that I've gone and shown you kind of how that all goes, I can go ahead and show you a little bit of the castle magic behind it. This isn't too complex. A lot of it was just adjustment work to make sure that everything lines up properly, all the camera angles, everything teleports pretty seamlessly, and just looks generally good. Now with 700 space, I had to do use some tricks to get things to look just right, and sometimes there's little gaps and things don't quite line up or look structurally supported in some parts of the track, things like that. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with the result. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back to the start here, and we're going to use that to kind of get out here and take a look at everything. So we can kind of just wander around and you can see everything. You can see the loop, all that fun stuff. So I have my normal kind of chains of reflectors. Some of them are dispersed elsewhere to serve as placements for camera angles, so that I'm not wasting any item space with a new item specifically placed for a camera angle. Over here is actually what is giving us our very rapid activation. So we have an item detector which has a radius of 300 units on its tiny setting. I actually have a second one in case the system fails. I have a couple things that are helping the system recover in the case of a failure. And I'll kind of explain what a failure is. But basically what's happening is you can see I click on this and it says magic timer, even though you can clearly see a magic computer. They're actually stacked on top of each other. So what's happening is the timer is continuously pushing itself into these item detectors, and the first one, in most cases, is going to detect the item, or is going to detect the timer and activate this computer. The computer is going to always teleport the timer back to it, and in some cases is going to activate this reflector. This reflector is what controls the entire teleportation throughout the entire track. So through all of those teleportation points that you can see, which are the counter/reflector pairs. So I can turn off whether or not those should be teleporting the items or not. So that's basically just how that kind of works, is I toggle signals to make sure I get it when I need it, and you know, being that it is a range of 300, my timer and computer are 3 units out from it, which means that it's moving at a rate of about 33.3 repeated, being that that is a third of 100 units. So 100 divided by 3. So about half of that is the rate that we're actually teleporting those, because I have the counter set to 2 for certain reasons to line up the teleports between the mount and the actual house guests. I also have some other neat tricks where I'm relying on one segment of track or teleporting to make up for a lot of other parts. So like here, for example, I actually use these 5 teleport points as 10 teleport points here by having them early on moved to this section and then relocated back over here with restoration. And then I similarly have those same 5 points teleported over here, then moved back and across different measurements so that I can use it as another 5 teleport points over here. And that's essentially how I can save a lot of space, especially on straightaways, where it's easy for me to manipulate where things end up with prior movement. And very important for saving me enough space. This section at the end would not exist in its entirety if I wasn't able to use tricks like that to save me a lot of space. So definitely thinking outside the box is very important for ensuring you have enough space to do stuff with a large-scale project like this. So over here, for example, you see the reflectors on this side. They are teleporting the lightning bolts to show the electric surge effect. as you go forward. Now, those actually also teleport a second set of lightning bolts on the left side. Essentially, they are moving to the left initially, then restoring back, and teleporting first the set of lightning bolts on the left, and then the set of lightning bolts on the right. This saves me, about literally half the space that I would normally be using to have that effect. So just certain things like that. At the end, I have some reflectors that both teleport the mount and the guests to it, which also initiate their movement back to the start for the ending sequence. And then the whole underwater sequence I would love to show you. I'm essentially using a kind of hole dug out in the center of this mountain over here. And there's some waterfalls that run inward on it. It's an awesome space. But essentially, if you stand up close to one of the waterfalls, you can actually see the items behind it while still getting the texture of the waterfall. It is fully transparent in that way. So that's what makes it look like it's completely underwater, as opposed to ordinarily it would actually just be mostly black in there, just completely dark. But that's a really nice effect that I can use to my advantage to make it look like we're going underwater. The Leviathan swallows us up, spits us out. I had that idea very early on, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Absolutely love that whole thing. And the loop, too. The loop was really tricky to get the timing right on everything. Essentially, to simulate the coaster going up the top of the loop, I actually have a section off over on the left side over there. I don't know if I can see it from here. No, I can't quite. I could probably see it with photomancy real quick. If you don't want to see the house guests, avert your eyes. So, I'm going to go ahead and run over here and show you real quick. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm having a downward camera angle facing down towards the bottom of the skybox to make it appear as though we're looking up at the cart as it's moving over the top of the track, when the truth is it's moving over its own bottom section, as you can see. So that's kind of how I simulate it. Unfortunately, because camera angles always last a minimum of 2 seconds, I can't make it move at the same rate as I have the rest of it, so you get this really big slowdown effect, whereas this whole time it's moving very quickly through this entire loop. And unfortunately, the choice I had was to make everything a moderate speed, or make it a very high speed. Moderate would have looked very slow when the Leviathan spit you out, and high makes it so that there's a lot larger discrepancy between the speed you're moving before you go up the loop and the speed you're moving on the top of the loop. The problem with going something in between that to kind of get the best of both worlds is that it's actually the current fastest speed of Castle Magic is still way too slow to look very good with the Leviathan spitting out or anything else. And if I try to add more counters so that it teleports still at the same rate, but it takes longer to traverse the distance, then it takes me a lot more item space. And I do mean a lot more item space. Certainly not something that was achievable for the last segment of this project. But overall, I'm very happy with how that worked out, with how the portals look and how they go through. And yeah, overall, I'm really pleased with this project. I couldn't even begin to tell you how much gold or time this took. It was really just a crazy feat to get done, and I am so very, very proud of it. I really hope that you guys thought it was cool too. Hope that you guys enjoyed this one very, very much. And yeah, I hope to get back to you guys with a new project again soon. Hopefully it doesn't take another 6 months, because I definitely like releasing at a faster pace than that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my roller coaster, the StormRider. Have yourselves a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you guys are watching this. And yeah, thanks. Bye.